You through planning your literature review, and this is just one way to think about it. I'm going to show you a couple of graphic organizers that might um, just help you as you think through what do I include in my literature review. And one way to think about it is bringing together kind of three streams or sources. And the big one that we often think about with a literature review is going to be the professional literature, right? The theory and the kind of main works related to your topic, the theory and practice of your topic, whatever it might be. But as a Christian institution, we also want you to integrate biblical understanding. And so you also want to bring together Christian theology somehow. And this could be through like a biblical worldview approach, or through a Christian philosophy of education, or through a theological lens or a missional lens. But somehow you want to bring in uh, the scriptures and good biblical theology. And you also want to think about, and sometimes students forget this, that you're writing in a context, and that context could be independent Christian schools. It could be online education in community colleges. It could be public schools in New York City. Whatever your context is, you're going to have literature related to that. And this may or may not be a huge section of your literature review, but you do want to describe your context. Now, sometimes there are what I'm calling hybrid sources, but that's simply a source that covers two or three areas. So, for example, if you're studying like leadership and some aspect of leadership, well, sometimes you'll run across books that are like a theology of leadership or biblical leadership or something like that. And that type of source kind of bridges two kind of parts of the literature review, right? Because it includes the professional side of leadership, and maybe it even includes some kind of secular theory there. But then it also includes the Christian side through the biblical leadership. So some sources will bridge two. So you don't have to think of these as, oh, it's only theology or only leadership or only pedagogy or whatever, right? So, for example, if you're studying pedagogy and you come across something about, teaching in early childhood, and your context is kindergartens in rural areas or something like that, and if you might find an article or a book that kind of bridges those two, right? It includes kindergartens in rural areas, and it also includes the pedagogy that you're interested in. So, just as an example there, um, so the sources that you have might bridge more than one of these three areas, but it's a way to think about how to collect sources. And I would encourage you to fill out a graphic organizer like this, and you can put in each one, books or authors or just ideas that you want included in your literature review. You might not have a complete idea yet, but you think, oh, I want to include this kind of, stream of thinking, or this, perhaps this theory, or this, whatever it might be. I'm going to show you an example. This is kind of based on my dissertation, but these are the people that I kind of leaned on in the secular sphere. Boston College Center for International Education had a lot of great stuff, and to describe international education that I was focusing on. And so these are some of the main people that I used, um, and these are some of the main topics that I covered. Over on the Christian theology side, I really depended on Christian mission and holistic Christian mission as kind of my theological component. And so these are two of the main kind of theological texts that I depended on. And I was trying to bring together Christian mission, international education, and then my context was Christian higher education. So down here you can see that I was reading some of the bigger names in Christian higher education. I leaned a lot on Quality with Soul, and I also used some of these other authors. Um, this is more of a topic right here, the mission of Christian higher education. It's more of a topic than a book or a source, but I was really using that Christian aspect of the mission of Christian higher education to kind of bridge theology and the educational aspect. And I do have some authors that I cited here, but I don't have them in this, in this diagram. This was a book by Glanzer and Carpenter, also very helpful, that kind of looked at international education within the context of Christian higher ed. And so this was a very important book for me. Obviously, this doesn't cover everything I included in my literature review, but it kind of gives you a sense of what are the kind of streams that I'm bringing together into one narrative, the literature review. And so as you fill this out as best you can, think about, okay, what am I bringing together to weave together this narrative of a literature review? Now I'm going to just show you one more way of thinking about it. If you don't like the kind of Venn diagram look, I also created this table, basically, with 3 columns. And what you can do is you can just write your purpose statement up here and maybe your research questions. And I would encourage you to just look at that purpose statement and research questions and say, hey, what topics or research kind of streams or fields or theories or authors or whatever are related to my purpose statement, are related to my research questions. And as you think about that and you do some preliminary research, maybe on Google Scholar or other places, you can fill out this table right here. And this table is basically the same as that other graphic organizer, but it's just in a different format. We got 3 columns, but with basically the same thing, right? The professional literature, who are the main people that I want to include, the main ideas. Theology, how do I want to incorporate the Bible and theology into this dissertation? What does that look like? And then the context, how can I describe my context? And I have just another example of that. It's basically the same information as I showed you before, but just organized in a different way. So if you like columns, you can do it this way. I have my purpose statement up here. You could also include your research questions if that's helpful. Just as a way of planning your literature review, getting you brainstorming, getting you thinking about what I want to include in this. And obviously this is a starting point, and then I would expect you to keep learning and reading and iterating on your literature review so that you really get where you want to go. You can use this document that I've created. I'll share it on the course website, but of course you don't need this document. You can just simply open up a Word document and create columns or fill in circles, or even just write by hand to create a Venn diagram. There's no one right way to do it. The point is to get you thinking and brainstorming about how you want your literature review to come together. All right, thanks.